checking over what people wrote. Okay, so 私の週末は忙しかったです。Any problems with that one? No. いいですね。忙しかったですね。Okay, 私の週末は忙しよかったです。What's going on there?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Were you trying to say that it was both busy and good? Or
No,
did you just mistake the
I just
conjugation?
I also misspelled shumatsu, so I'm kind of like.
Shumatsu. Okay. Yeah,
Again, I'm kind of out of it this morning. I don't
Okay.
know.
There's 3-day weekends to it.
Okay. Yeah. So isugashikatta is what you meant to say? Because there is a way to connect two adjectives and have it be like it was busy and good, but we haven't studied how to do that yet. That's actually coming in next chapter. So if you can wait, then we'll learn how to connect. One of the things that TEForm does, which is a lesson 6 and 7 grammar structure, that they spread out some of the functions of TEForm into 6 and some into 7, and some come further down the road. But one of the things that it allows you to do is convert a verb or an adjective into a form that can connect to a second verb or adjective. So you can actually say, he did this, then that. You know, just strings several actions together. He ate this, then he drank that, then he went to the store, you know, or, you know, my weekend was busy and good, or the movie was interesting and expensive, or whatever you want to say, right? So those kinds of connections of linking multiple things to talk about in one sentence are coming, but we're not there yet. Okay, but preview of coming attractions, it's coming. Okay, 私の週末はつまらなかったです。Okay. 私の週末は寒かったです。そうですね。I think we can all agree on that one pretty much. この週末はお母さんの家に行きました。Okay, that definitely says what you did. It doesn't use an adjective, but it
It's the same one.
but it does
Yeah.
sell something about what you did over the weekend. Okay, and that's another thing that we'll be able to do once we've got TEForm, is we'll be able to link two concepts to the point where you'd be able to say, I went to my mom's house and it was interesting.
Yeah, I was
Or
thinking
something
of a way
like
to fit an adjective in there, but I couldn't really think of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of a way to fit that in right now.
Yeah.
Not with what you've studied thus
Yeah.
far. Okay, and then 私の週末, okay, we've got another misspelling. That's okay. 週末は面白くなかったです. Okay, so we got practice on the negative past. Yay.
What's that little word?
I was just kind of using the color coding to show how omoshiroi changes to omoshirokunai when you're changing it to the negative. Sometimes, you know, when you use two colors like that, you can kind of see the conversion in your head a different way, and that kind of helps some people remember it. You know, I'm a big fan of color coding stuff to help make things clear. So that's why my charts are often multicolored as well when I make them myself. じゃあ練習しましょうね。Before we get into the textbook, let's do our 単語. Okay. So we're gonna kind of run through things quickly. We'll do the once through and then the 3 by 3. Okay. And when we're doing the once through, when we get to adjectives and verbs, we're going to actually do the conjugations of those for the once through. Okay, so here what? Tenki, which means weather. Otoko no hito means man. then, はい。はい、Tanaka-san, Mr. or Ms. Tanaka, right? Yamada-san, same deal, but with Yamada. Okay? Ima, はい。私、はい。一緒に together, はい。とても is very, はい。bus is bus, はい。部屋 room, はい。休み day off, vacation, absence. My
Sheets.
yeah, calendar for flat objects, sheets of things, yeah. Umi, sea, はい。Yeah, keep, which one's which? Okay, kipu is the ticket, okay? Kitte is the stamp, okay? And one way to maybe remember that is another homophone for kitte is to cut. It's the te form of cut. And so if you think about like the way you, when you peel a stamp off of its backing, it kind of cuts away from the, you know, little piece that's outlining it or the stamp next to it. So if you think about that, like it's kind of pre-cut so that you can peel it off. You don't have to cut it first. So if maybe that'll work as a mnemonic for remembering that kitte means stamp because it's pre-cut as opposed to kippu, which is already like, it's a whole piece. You don't necessarily peel it off of anything. So maybe that'll help. Homework, yes, everybody's favorite thing, right?
That's
So,
Second favorite.
second favorite thing, right? Beverage, yeah.
I don't have one day.
Aw. それから and then, はい。すごく extremely, はい。
どんな
Not.
food?
Donna is what kind, what type.
Right.
Yeah. Notice the relationship. どうでしたか? どう is how was it? Donna is like what kind, what type. You remember koso ado? Koko, soko, asoko, doko, kono, sono, ano, dono. Konna, sonna, anna, donna also exist. So we've got donna, what kind. Anna would be like that kind, that type. Anna hito, that kind of person. Konna hito, this kind of person. Sonna hon, that kind of book. Interesting, right? So all of the kosoado groups have those kinds of meanings where what they start with tells you the relationship, whether it's this near me, that near you, that way over there, or the question word version. And then the ending tells you the meaning that kind of cuts across all of those four categories. Kind or type for the na endings. And then no endings connect with nouns, right? Kono, sono, ano, dono. Re endings stand alone before a wa, right? So ko endings are about location, place, right? Isn't that interesting? So all the kosoados have some sort of relationship like that. It's very helpful because you can learn 4 in 1 sort of once you've got the concept of how they work. Okay, what's this one? Hikoki is a airplane. Boku, I, pronoun I. And was it Dylan that sent me that email about boku? Yeah. I haven't had a chance to post it yet to Canvas, but he found a very interesting article that sort of does the statistical breakdown of who says boku and what other pronouns they use if they don't use boku. So it's very interesting. It's got the stats for both girls and boys of a certain age in a certain year. So of course it's a little bit dated because statistics like that always are, you know, but it gives you sort of a snapshot of, in that year, kids that age were doing X, and you can kind of extrapolate that from that those same people, whatever the age they are now, they're probably still using a lot of the same things. So it's interesting to look at. Yoko is a
Travel.
a trip, yeah. So it can be either one depending on the context. Ryoko suru is to travel, and ryoko as a noun is like a trip, you know, where you go someplace. Made, until, right? Hitte is a postsand, right? Something you probably don't want to do today. A little chilly for that.
Unless you travel somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah, tabemono. Food, yeah. Yeah, surfing no ryoko would be interesting, right? A surfing trip.
There was a surfing
Okay.
convention over this weekend.
What's that?
Oh, there was a surfing convention over this weekend in Orlando.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Weird time of year for the surfing convention, but
Yep.
hey. And weird location, it's
Yeah.
not on the ocean.
It was in the Orlando, like the Orange County or whatever, the convention center.
Okay,
I was
so it's like for people to talk about surfing, not actually do it.
I guess. So what are they gonna do in the pool in the hotels? I don't know.
Socializing. So that
with other
you meet each other
surfers.
at competitions. Or
Okay.
tenki.
Okay, so tenki is
Weather.
weather, as in, 今日の天気は寒いです. Okay, and hagaki, a postcard, what you write to your friend and tell them, 今日の天気は寒いです. Right? Okay, we'll go through the rest of these for the singles first. So this is 大丈夫. All right, okay, 大丈夫. Yeah. Versus 誕生日, which is birthday. Yes. Yes, they're both long words. 食べる, to eat, and it conjugates as 食べます, 食べません, 食べました, 食べませんでした. 行く, 行きます, 行きません, 行きませんでした. And you could also do 行きましょう. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any
Yeah, we skipped
mashita?
one.
Oh, did we skip something? Okay,
Yeah.
行く, 行きます, 行きました, 行きません, 行きませんでした. Sorry about that. My brain jumped ahead of my mouth, I guess. Okay, 行き, 行く, okay, and of course that means to go. Okay, this kanji is 飲む, 飲みます, 飲みません, 飲みました, 飲みませんでした, and 飲みましょう, which would be let's drink. No, お茶を飲みましょう.
To your house.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll notice that nomu has the same sort of double meaning that it has in English. Sometimes it just means straight drinking any kind of beverage. Sometimes it has sort of the connotation of going out and having liquor. So it's kind of got both in Japanese, just like we have both in English.
Yeah, I was listening to it and to the vocab, and I
Yeah.
thought, oh, this sounds like going out and partying. or
Yeah.
something.
In context, sometimes it has that implication. Yeah. So, yeah. And some of you are underage, so. Yeah. Yeah. Although the drinking age is different in Japan than it is here. はい、20歳です. So, 1 year earlier. これは見る、見ます、見ません、見ました、見ませんでした、見ましょう. And it's to see see, to look, to watch, right? So you can do like eiga o mimasu, terebi o mimasu, you know, and also just, oh, mimasu, you know, I saw something, you know. And of course, it gets even more useful once we get the TED forms, because then we'll be able to do things like, look, or please look, or please don't look. Okay. Yaru is to do, to perform, and it conjugates to yarimasu, yarimasen, yarimashita, yarimasen deshita, and also yarimashou. Yeah.
Let's do.
Yeah, and if you've ever heard the I did it expression, yatta, that's a conjugation of yaru also. So, and we'll actually be learning that toward the end of the semester. That's a short form.
I don't understand. What about the? Like, they use it a lot. You know, it's like whenever they go kono yaro. What is that?
Yaro is the short form of yarimashou. So it's
Okay.
like, let's do it. Okay. And also, it's a dialect version of deshou. Deshou is an ending that conjugates off of des. So like, isogashi des would be I'm busy, right? Isogashi deshou would be someone is probably busy. So if you're talking about someone else instead of yourself, you're more likely to use deshou because you don't know for 100% certain that they're busy, but you're guessing that they are. So deshou gets used a lot in anime. And if they are a dialect speaker from Kansai instead of from the Tokyo area, they will likely replace deshou with yaro. That's a Kansai dialect difference. There are a bunch of differences in how verbs conjugate and how they use the language depending on what dialect people speak. And there are some anime that are set in dialect-speaking regions. And so then you start hearing dialect and you're like, wait a minute, they're using that differently than what I was taught in class. There's a reason.
And a lot of the Kansai Ben is entered into the slang just
Yes,
overall.
Kansai Ben, overall, it has become sort of an in thing to know in Japan. So just like certain accents and dialect expressions have made it into mainstream English, very often through music. You know, expressions that are from New York slang have made it into rap music. Expressions that are Southern slang have made it into country music, right? And from there into mainstream usage, right? So even if you never would use the expression y'all, you've heard it, you know what it means, right? The same thing is true of Japanese, especially Kansai dialect. There was a comedian back in like the 90s, I think, who was super popular, who spoke Kansai Ben. And he did his comedy in Kansai Ben. So in order to follow his comedy and enjoy it, you had to be conversant with that dialect. And it put a lot of Kansai Ben expressions into mainstream slang because he was incredibly popular for a while there. And I believe that was the 90s when that first started. Yeah. So, so ever since then, Kansai Ben has continued to just sort of be part of mainstream slang because of that influence. And so there are a lot of anime that have at least one or two characters who speak that dialect to some degree. And they don't go full force with it because just like, you know, a mainstream TV show here would not go full force with, say, the thickest possible Southern accent because most of the viewers wouldn't be able to understand them. If you went full force with Osaka Ben, for example, 80% of Japanese people would not be able to understand what was going on. Need subtitles. Yeah. Yeah, they actually do subtitle documentaries sometimes when they're interviewing people who speak really thick dialect in Japan. They'll subtitle it in Japanese for the sake of the native speakers who don't know that dialect well enough to follow what the heck they're saying.
Yeah, they do that sometimes here.
Yeah,
So it's
you'll,
like here, when someone's from Louisiana, they'll sometimes.
right, yeah, if they're speaking like really thick Creole or something, or they're
Yeah.
speaking like with a really thick Scottish accent or Yorkshire or something, they'll subtitle
I love European accents.
it. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. And there are some really thick accents in some of the country parts of Japan too, just like there are here. You would
It's all
think,
about being separated.
yeah, yeah. Just because it's a small country doesn't mean they have all homogeneous speech. You know, TV and radio have gone a long way toward homogenizing at least their listening skills, so people who only speak their local dialect can understand standard. So I could make myself understood anywhere in Japan that I go, and I have, you know, all over the country. But there were places where I couldn't follow what they were saying until somebody who spoke more standard translated for me what the heck they were saying to me. Because it was truly like, are you speaking Japanese? Really? You sure that isn't some other language? You know, it was really thick at times. So anyway, so this is kiku, which means to ask, yes, and it's kikimasu, kikimasen, kikimashita, kikimasen deshita, kikimashou. Yeah, as in, sensei, meet kikimashou. Let's ask the teacher. Noru, to ride, as in, jitensha ni noru, bus ni noru, densha ni noru. Okay, any kind of public transit or a bicycle.
Can you use a airplane?
I guess you could, yeah.
It says to board, and you board.
Yeah.
To board, yeah, you
I think
board
we're
a
gonna use
plane.
that in
Yeah,
that
I think,
context.
yeah, I think that would be the right verb for hikoki as well. Yeah. When you're the one driving, like in a car, there's a different verb. But when it's public transit or something where you're not the one in control, somebody else is flying the plane, obviously, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had pilots in my classes before, so. Yeah, and I know pilots, so, you know, that's a different thing. But that would be a different verb than noru. So noru is definitely riding in the conveyance, not being the one in control of it. And with the exception of bicycle, for some reason they use the same verb for bicycle, and I believe
We
for
say the same
horse.
thing. We don't say
Well,
we
it's
ride the bicycle,
to
we say we
ride.
ride it. Neither of them makes sense.
Yeah, so it's
So
to
really you're
ride.
riding in an airplane, but it's the same
Yeah.
as to board.
We use a lot of the same verbs.
Well, yeah, because they also use the verb noru for the act of actually getting onto the train, for example, from the platform. You know, you make that step from
That's
the
still
concrete
just-
platform into the train, that's also noru.
Because boarding.
Yeah.
Because if you have one foot on it, you're riding it.
Well, if you only have one foot on it, you're in danger, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It
anyway,
does
so
work for
noru changes to
Norimasu.
norimasu, norimasen, norimashita, norimasen deshita, and of course, norimashou. Yes, very useful structure, the mashou ending. So, dekakeru is to go out. So, dekakemasu, dekakemasen, dekakemashita, dekakemasen deshita, dekakemashou. Yeah, so dekakemashou.
Gotta be used to throwing that one in.
Yeah, dekakemashou, that's a useful,
Nice.
yeah, let's go out. You know, you tell your roommate, okay, dekakemashou, let's go out, right? Okay, and now, oyogu, which is to swim. Okay, and then, oyogimasu, oyogimasen, oyogimashita, oyogimasen deshita. この週末泳ぎませんでした。Right? Right. 元気な is energetic, right? And it conjugates as Genki desu. Genki deshita. Okay, oh, you want to do negatives first, right? Genki desu. Genki janai desu. Genki deshita. Genki janakatta desu. I always forget, but this textbook teaches the positive and negative of the present tense first, and then they teach the past tense sometimes in the next chapter even.
So,
In some textbooks, they teach all four at once, so then it's hard to decide what order to do them in. Okay, so that's genki. And then this one is himana, which means
not busy.
not
have free
busy,
time.
right, to have free
that
time.
like-
Yeah, sometimes they use the expression in English to be free, but that can be confusing because it's got more than one meaning in English. But that's the closest as far as the an equivalency and meaning, if you get rid of the double meaning of it. Okay, so hima des, hima janai des, hima deshita, hima janakatta des, right? So that's, had free time, did not have free time, and all of those, right? Okay. Nigiyakana means
Lively.
lively, as in a place. Bustling is another good interpretation for this one. Because it really does imply location, not person.
I keep thinking of Santa, lively and quick.
Okay, yeah, but Nigiyaka applies more to like nightlife in Times Square, or Ginza if you're talking Japan, or any place else that you can think of that has a lot of action going on, daytime or nighttime, either one. So that's Nigiyaka. So the conjugation, Nigiyaka desu. Nigiyaka janai desu, nigiyaka deshita, nigiyaka janakatta desu, right? Okay, and we've got daisuki na,
Be very fond
to
of.
love, to be very fond of, right? So daisuki desu, daisuki janai desu, daisuki deshita, daisuki janakatta desu. Okay, and the negatives mean exactly what you would think. So, daisuki janai desu, I don't love it. It's kind of got the same feel to it that it has in English. You're not saying that you hate it, but you're saying that it's not really your most favorite thing, right? Okay, what's this one?
Right?
Daikirai na, to hate, to despise, abhor, detest, right? Really, really, really strong. Okay, so daikirai desu, daikirai janai desu, daikirai deshita, daikirai janakatta desu. Right. This one,
Skina.
skina, I like it. Okay, ski desu, ski janai desu, ski deshita, ski janakatta desu. Right. Shizuka na, excuse me, to be quiet, peaceful. So, for example, inside the Zen Buddhist temple on a day that's not any kind of a festival. Okay, so Shizuka desu, Shizuka janai desu, Shizuka deshita, Shizuka janakatta desu. Library is another good example. Shizuka. Okay. We already did Genki na. Should we do it again, or do you feel like we've done it enough? One more time? Okay, so Genki desu, Genki janai desu, Genki deshita, Genki janakatta desu. Okay. Kirei desu. Clean or beautiful, right? So kirei desu, kirei janai desu, kirei deshita, kirei janakatta desu. Right. Kirai desu. Oh, sorry, kirai na, which is to hate or dislike, right? So kirai desu, kirai janai desu, kirai deshita, kirai janakatta desu. And you'll probably more frequently hear skijanai desu for something, somebody not liking something, and kirai janai desu for when somebody is like, well, I don't hate it. It's not my favorite, but no, hate it, you know. But kirai desu and gai kirai desu don't get used in the positive as often just because they are so strong. Okay. And now we have some e-adjectives. So shifting gears in the conjugations, right? So kawaii is
Scary.
scary. Yes. Okay. So kawaii desu, kawakunai desu, kawakatta desu, kawakunakatta desu. And I'm actually sorting these so that the next time we run through them, they'll be interspersed with each other a little bit more, so that we'll get practice switching back and forth, because that's important too. So, furui desu. Furui means old. So, furui desu. Furukunai desu. Furukatta desu. Furukunakatta desu. There you go. Tanoshii is fun. So, tanoshii desu. Tanoshikunai desu. Tanoshikatta desu. Tanoshikunakatta desu. Okay. And you'll notice there's no masho version of these. There's no such thing as let's be fun. That's weird, right?
Well, you could say that.
Yeah, in English it lets you, but it's still kind of weird. Yeah, it
Oh,
really
yes,
does.
let's have fun.
Yeah, let's have fun, but that in Japanese would be a verb, not the adjective. There.
Can you still use show for verbs though?
Yeah.
Wait.
Masho is a verb conjugation. We, tabemasho, nomimasho, ikimasho, ekakemasho, all of those take masho. Masho does not exist for adjectives. Okay? So, yasashi is kind if it's about a person, or easy if it's about something like a school subject or something else you do. Okay? So, yasashi desu, yasashikunai desu, yasashikatta desu, yasashikunakatta desu. Okay? Atsui, hot. So, atsui desu, atsukunai desu, atsukatta desu, atsukunakatta desu. Yes, and when you walk out the door and it's 95 degrees and it's hot and muggy out there, atsui, atsui, atsui. You know, you hear that used as like an exclamation a lot in Japanese. Yeah. Samui. Same deal when it's really cold outside. Samui means cold, so samui desu, samukunai desu, samukatta desu, samukunakatta desu. And yeah, if it's really freezing out there, you'll hear people saying, "Oh, samui," you know, things like that.
Say the last one again, the
Samukunakatta desu. Samukunakatta desu. So was not cold, right? Samukunakatta desu. Yeah, so those kunakatta forms are a little bit of a mouthful at times. Okay, especially like the tsumarana kunakatta, that kind of stuff, right? So those are coming. So chisai is small. Okay, so chisai desu, chisakunai desu, chisakatta desu, chisakunakatta desu. So chisai, like steaks in Japan. Yeah.
Order 2 or something.
Yeah. If you're really hungry, order something with more veggies. You'll get more food that way in Japan. Okay, yatsui, cheap, yes, versus expensive. So yatsui,
Yasui desu.
yasui desu, yasukunai desu, yasukatta desu, yasukunakatta desu. Right. it's usually ou, but this is one of the exceptions, o. Okay? This is also the o that's in Osaka. It's actually this kanji, the same kanji. Okay, so oki means big, right? So oki desu, okikunai desu, okikatta desu, okikunakatta desu. Good? Okay, and muzukashii, difficult, yes. So muzukashii desu, muzukashikunai desu, muzukashikatta desu, muzukashikunakatta desu, right? Okay, tsumaranai, boring. So tsumaranai desu, tsumaranakunai desu, tsumaranakatta desu, tsumaranakunakatta desu. Yes, it really does do that. Yes. And that is one that it's a good idea to just practice saying it slowly over and over as many times as it takes until you can say it comfortably. So spell it out first so that you make sure you've got all the syllables in there. And then you can read it off of your written out version slowly. Tsumaranakunakatta desu.
Your mouth just gotta get used to it.
Yeah. Once you get used to it, tsumaranakunakatta desu. It's not that hard once your mouth gets used to it, but you got to create that muscle memory first. And the best way to do that is to start off slow and to really break it down. Tsumaranakunakatta desu. You know, just a few syllables at a time until you're comfortable. Okay. Kakkoi, cool, good looking, right? So kakkoi desu. Kakko yokunai desu, remember, because it's irregular. Kakko yokatta desu. Kakko yokunakatta desu. Kakko yokunakatta desu. That's another one, it's a mouthful, until you get used to it. Omoshiroi desu. Interesting. So omoshiroi desu. Omoshirokunai desu. Omoshirokatta desu. Omoshirokunakatta desu. Again, slow it down, practice it as many times as it takes for you to be able to say it. In, because, you don't want to just cut out "it was not interesting" or "it was not boring" out of your vocabulary, right? You need to be able to say those if that's what you mean. So, okay. Isogashi desu means busy. Again, long-winded but necessary word, busy, right? So, isogashi desu, isogashikunai desu, isogashikatta desu, isogashikunakatta desu. Right? And our last one. Atarashi desu. Atarashi means new. So, atarashi desu, atarashikunai desu, atarashikatta desu, atarashikunakatta desu. Okay, any questions about how?
So it's just, so with the E adjectives,
Yeah.
it changes, or it drops the final E in every one but the,
Yeah.
but the present.
Ides is only the ending for the simple
the-
present.
Yeah.
Okay, and then kunai des is the present tense negative, right? And then katta des is the past positive, okay? And then kuna katta des is the past negative. And if you look at the present negative and the past positive, you'll see that the past negative is a hybrid of the two, right? You take the present tense negative, kunai, and you treat the nai as an E adjective and conjugate the E into katta. See that? This E changes to katta, this E changes to katta. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's one reason why some people like the grid shape for these. Instead of the list style, if you do ides and unides like this,
But
I'm just changing the pen because that one's not great. And then you do, kattades here, and kuna kattades here, then it makes it a little bit easier to see. For color. So E changed to ku here, E changed to katta there, right? And E changed to ku here, and then this E changed to this katta. You see that? So sometimes people find that easier to understand. And since all of the E adjectives end the same way, all you have to know is what the beginning part's supposed to be, but they all conjugate that exact same pattern. So whether it's, takai, takaides, takakunaides, takakattares, takakunakattares, or whether it's something really long like tsumaranai, tsumaranaides, tsumaranakunaides, tsumaranakattares, tsumaranakunakattares. Right? And the only exception to all of those is ides and conjugations that use ides, like kakkoi, which is really a compound word that ends with good. Okay? Yeah, form is good, kakkoi. That's what it really is. So that one and ides both conjugate with the yoku, right? And yokatta. So ides, yokunaides, yokattares, yokunakattares. How many people have heard like, wa yokatta in context and not known what it was? Now you know. Yeah, when somebody first taught me yokattares, they taught it to me out of context. I just wanted to know how to go and tell somebody that I liked their performance after a concert or something. And so they just taught me, oh, say yokattares. It was good. But they didn't explain this whole thing to me, so I just knew that as a set phrase for the longest time. And then later I learned ides and yokunaides, yokattares, yokunakattares, and I was like, oh, that's where that came from. You know? I like knowing where things came from, so that was neat for me when I finally got to know it. Question?
I have one question. They're also showing kun arimasen. Is that
Yes.
the same meaning? Does it like
Same
have a
meanings.
different feel in a
Yeah,
different,
so ides, yeah, yoku arimasen. Yoku arimasen. Yeah, yokattares.
it doesn't show one for that. It's for the past negative. It shows kun
Arimasen
arimasen
deshita.
deshita.
Yeah. And then for the na adjectives, genki desu, genki ja arimasen, genki deshita, genki ja arimasen deshita. Those are more formal sounding. They're more likely to show up in a written form versus colloquial speech. The ones I'm emphasizing are the colloquial speech ones, because the truth is, before I started teaching from this textbook, I'd never heard the arimasen and arimasen deshita versions used in conversation.
Yeah, that's
They
probably not-
really only occur in very formal situations and in written form. You'll notice an interesting difference in Japanese culture that even with friends, when you write it down, you get a tad more formal. So like your best friend that you chat with in person in casual speech all the time, when she sends you a postcard from Hawaii because she's there for vacation, all of a sudden her tone turns more formal. She uses like des, mas endings instead of casual form endings that you're used to in conversation. I'm not sure why that is culturally, but every time you'll see like people are a little more formal with written than with spoken. I don't know how much that may be changing now due to email and text messaging and instant messaging and all of that, because I think people do tend to be more casual in text and I am than they are in more formal handwritten or even more formal typed forms. I think even email still retains a little bit more formality, but I have a feeling that text probably has lost some of that, especially since before smartphones, people were texting on those little flip phones. I'm sure that affected people's willingness to be super formal. You know,
Or she got really good at it.
yeah, well, and the other thing is that the Japanese software, when you're typing in Japanese, it will come up with suggestions. So you can pick the ending you want, because usually you just start to type the verb and it'll give you different endings and you can just click on the one you mean. But still, when you're doing it on a flip phone, I'm sure people were taking every shortcut conceivable because it's so annoying to type in those things. You know, now that almost everyone in Japan is probably using a smartphone, it may have changed again. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to find out. Has anybody here joined Hello Talk? It's an app.
But I can't talk to anybody right now.
Yeah, it's an app that a lot of my level 3 and 4 people have been using now for a while, where you like get on and you create a profile, I guess, and it lets people know that you're learning Japanese and your native language is English, and Japanese speakers who are trying to learn English will ask to connect with you, and you can do like language exchange back and forth, where you help them with their English questions and they help you with your Japanese questions. And some people just type back and forth to be social, and some people really just use it for, hey, how would you say blah blah in Japanese? Or, hey, I found this kanji, have no clue what it means, somebody help. You know, so if anybody feels like getting on to that, Joe and Sandlin and Ellie are all on it, and they're in the language lab a lot, so you could always ask any of them. Okay, shall we do the 3x3 as quickly as possible so we still get to some textbook stuff? Okay, so nigiaka na,
Lively.
nigiaka na,
Lively.
nigiaka na,
Lively.
lively, lively, lively. Daikirai na. Sorry, reading upside down. Daikirai na.
Hate.
Daikirai na. Hate.
Daikiraina.
Loathe.
Daikiraina.
Abhor.
Daikiraina.
Shizuka na.
Quiet.
Shizuka na.
Quiet.
Shizuka na.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Shizukana.
Peaceful.
Shizukana.
Quiet.
Shizukana.
Kirei na.
Clean.
Kirei na.
Clean.
Kirei na. Beautiful.
Kirei-na.
Pretty.
Kirei na.
Clean.
Kirei na.
Kawaii.
Scary.
Kawaii.
Scary.
Kawaii.
Scary.
Scary.
Kawaii.
Frightening.
Kawaii.
Scary.
Kawaii.
Tanoshii. Tanoshii.
Fun.
Tanoshii.
Fun.
Fun.
Tanoshi.
Fun.
Tanoshi.
Enjoyable.
Tanoshi.
Atsui.
Hot.
Atsui.
Hot.
Atsui.
Hot.
Hot.
Atsui.
Hot.
Atsui.
Hot.
Atsui.
Chisai.
Small.
Chisai.
Small.
Chisai.
Small.
Small.
Chisai.
Small.
Chisai.
Small.
Chisai.
Oki.
Large.
Oki.
Large.
Oki.
Large.
Large.
Oki.
Large.
Oki.
Large.
Oki.
Tsumaranai.
Boring.
Tsumaranai.
Boring.
Tsumaranai.
Boring.
Boring.
Tsumaranai.
Boring.
Tsumaranai.
Boring.
Tsumaranai.
Omoshiroi.
Interesting.
面白い
Interesting.
面白い
Interesting.
interesting
面白い
interesting
面白い
interesting
面白い
新しい
New.
新しい
New.
新しい
New.
Okay. Did I do the other way? Oh, new
新しい
new
新しい
new
新しい
はい元気な
energetic
元気な元気な
energetic
energetic
元気な
energetic
元気な
energetic
元気な
暇な
Free time.
yeah okay one or the other 暇な
Free time.
暇な free time
Himana.
have free time
Himana.
have free time
Himana.
大好きな
love
大好きな
Love.
大好きな
Love.
very fond of
大好きな
love
大好きな
love
大好きな
好きな
Like.
好きな
Like.
好きな
Like.
like
好きな
like
好きな
like
Skinna.
元気な
energetic
元気な
energetic
元気な
energetic
energetic
元気な
healthy
元気な
energetic
Genkina.
嫌いな
Dislike.
嫌いな
hate
嫌いな
hate
hate
Kirana.
dislike
Kirana.
hate
Kirana.
古い
old
古い
old
古い
old
old thing
古い
old thing
古い
old for things
古い
はい優しい
Kind.
優しい
Easy.
優しい
Kind.
kind
優しい
easy thing
優しい
kind
優しい
はい寒い
cold
寒い
cold
寒い
cold
cold
寒い
cold
寒い
cold weather
寒い
not cold to the touch 安い
cheap
安い
Cheap.
安い
cheap
cheap
安い
inexpensive
安い
cheap
安い
難しい
Difficult.
難しい
difficult
難しい
difficult
difficult
難しい
difficult
難しい
difficult
難しい
かっこいい
cool
かっこいい
good looking
かっこいい
good looking
cool
かっこいい
good looking
かっこいいかっこいい
忙しい
busy
忙しい
busy
忙しい
busy
busy
忙しい
busy
忙しい
busy
忙しい
食べる
eat
食べる
to eat
食べる
to eat
to eat
食べる
to eat
食べる
to eat
食べる
行く
go
行く
to go
行く
to go
to go
行く
to go
行く
to go
行く
飲む
drink
飲む
drink
飲む
drink
drink
飲む
drink
飲む
drink
飲む
見る
see
見る
see
見る
see
see
見る
to watch
見る
to look at
見る
やる
to do
やる
Perform.
やる
perform
perform
やる
to do
やる
to perform
やる
聞く
ask
聞く
ask
聞く
ask
to ask
聞く
to ask
聞く
to ask a question
聞く
乗る
To ride.
Right.
乗る
To ride.
乗る
To ride.
to ride
乗る
to board
乗る
to ride
乗る
出かける
go out
go out
to go out
出かける
To
sorry.
go out.
出か
出かける
to go out
to go out
出かける
go out
出かける
go out
出かける。
泳ぐ
To swim.
泳ぐ
to swim
泳ぐ
To swim.
swim
泳ぐ
swim
泳ぐ
swim
泳ぐ
okay 天気
weather
天気
weather
天気
weather
weather
天気
weather
天気
weather
天気
男の人
Male.
男の人
Male.
男の人
Male.
man
男の人
man
男の人。
man
男の人
今
today
日今日
Today.
今日
today
today
今日
today
今日
today
今日
山
Mountain.
山
mountain
山
mountain
mountain
Yama.
mountain
Yama.
mountain
yama
川
river
川
river
川
river
river
川
river
川
river
川
女の人
Woman.
女の人
woman
女の人
woman
woman
女の人
woman
女の人
woman
女の人
田中さん
Mr. Tanaka.
田中さん
Mrs. Tanaka.
Okay.
田中さん
Mrs. Tanaka.
Mrs. 田中
Tanaka さん
Miss 田中
Tanaka さん
Mr. 田中
Tanaka さん
山田さん
Mr. Yamada.
山田さん
Mrs. Yamada.
山田さん
Mr. Yamada.
Mr. Yamada,
Yamada-san.
Miss Yamada,
Yamada-san.
Mrs. Yamada,
Yamada-san.
Ima,
Now.
Ima,
Now.
Ima,
Now.
now,
Ima.
now,
Ima.
now.
Ima.
Watashi,
I.
watashi,
I.
watashi,
I.
I,
Watashi.
I,
Watashi.
I.
私
一緒に、
together
一緒に、
together
一緒に、
together
together,
一緒に
together,
一緒に
together.
一緒に
とても、
very
とても、
very
とても。
very
very,
とても
very,
とても
very.
とても
バス、
bus
バス、
bus
バス、
bus
バス、
bus
バス、
bus
バス、
bus
バス。
bus
部屋、
room
部屋、
room
部屋。
room
room,
Yeah.
room,
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
休み、
vacation
休み、
Holiday.
休み。
vacation
vacation,
休み
absence,
休み
rest.
休み
my,
sheets
my,
sheets
my,
sheets
sheets,
my
sheets of paper,
My.
things, measure for thin flat objects.
My.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. Umi,
Sea.
umi,
Sea.
umi,
Sea.
sea,
umi
ocean,
umi
sea.
umi
Hippu,
Ticket.
hippu,
Ticket.
hippu,
Ticket.
ticket,
Hippu.
ticket,
Hippu.
ticket.
Hippu.
Shukudai,
homework
shukudai,
homework
shukudai.
homework
Homework,
Shukudai.
homework,
Shukudai.
homework.
Shukudai.
Testo,
Test.
test
testo,
Test.
testo,
test
test,
testo
test,
testo
test.
testo
Nomimono,
drink
Beverage.
nomimono,
beverage
nomimono.
beverage
Drink,
飲み物
beverage,
飲み物
drink.
飲み物
それから、
And
and
then.
then
それから、
And
then
then.
それから、
and then
and then,
それから
in addition,
それから
and then.
それから
すごく、
strict
すごく、
extremely
すごく、
extremely
extremely,
すごく
extremely,
すごく
extremely.
すごく
どんな、
what kind of
どんな、
what kind of
どんな、
what kind of
what kind,
どんな
what kind,
どんな
what kind.
どんな
飛行機、
airplane
飛行機、
airplane
飛行機、
airplane
airplane,
飛行機
jet,
飛行機
airplane.
飛行機
僕、
I
僕、
I
僕、
I
masculine I,
僕
I,
僕
boys I.
僕
旅行、
It just sounds violent.
旅行、
travel
旅行、
travel
旅行、
travel
travel,
旅行
travel,
旅行
travel.
旅行
まで、
until
まで、
Until.
まで、
to
until,
まで
until,
まで
to.
まで
切って、
そうですね
切って、
そうですね
切って、
Stamp.
stamp,
切って
stamp,
切って。
stamp.
切って
surfing,
surfing
surfing,
Surfing.
surfing,
surfing
surfing,
Surfing.
surfing,
surfing
surfing.
surfing
食べ物、
food
食べ物、
food
食べ物、
food
food,
食べ物
food,
食べ物
food.
食べ物
天気、
weather
天気、
weather
天気。
weather
weather,
天気
weather,
天気
weather.
天気
はがき、
postcard
はがき、
postcard
はがき。
postcard
postcard,
はがき
postcard,
はがき
postcard.
はがき
大丈夫、
it's fine
大丈夫、
alright
大丈夫。
okay
Okay,
大丈夫
okay, all right,
大丈夫
no problem.
大丈夫
誕生日、
birthday
誕生日、
birthday
誕生日、
birthday
birthday,
誕生日
birthday,
誕生日
birthday.
誕生日
はい。じゃあ、次。教科書を見ましょう。See that? Use your new vocabulary. 教科書を見ましょう。見ましょう。
Suffer.
はい。そう。じゃあ、138ページを見ましょうね。I think we were up to number 10. The pretty room, the clean room, all right? Okay, so, and we were making sentences. One, that it's pretty and or clean, and anything else you can think to say about it, because we don't have the opposite of clean in our vocabulary. We don't have dirty in our vocab. So, do we remember who we were up to, or should we? Okay, どうぞ。
この部屋はきれい 綺麗です。
はい、綺麗です。
この部屋は、
Maybe not large or something, I don't know.
大きくないです。
はい、that works. Okay, じゃあ、
はい。
それでさん、11番。
この部屋は、
Not clean would be
きれい。
綺麗
きれい。What's the next?
じゃあじゃないです because we're still working in present tense. So 綺麗じゃないです。Okay. And then we haven't learned a vocabulary word for dirty, but
I'd say it was lively. If we did
okay.
past or not. I don't know.
Okay. How would you put that one together?
Something.
Okay. Nigiaka what? Nigiaka past tense for a non-adjective. Past tense positive. Nigiaka deshita. There you go. Nigiaka deshita. That's very possible. It sure looks like they had a party, didn't it? たくさん飲み物を飲みました。はい、じゃあ、シェラキンさん、12番。
このテスト、
So they got 100 out of 100,
so
so
probably be like easy.
yeah.
So like, 優しいです。
はい、優しいです。
このテ
Okay.
スト、
このテストは優しいです。
このテストは、how do I say it? I would say that they are, okay, can I use just like without making it a negative adjective, just,
I want you to try to do
The
the
negative?
negative, not
Okay.
difficult. So that would be, Muzakashi
じゃなく、
く
ないです。
Muzakashi kunai desu. Okay.
難しくないです。
Because it's an e adjective, so the e changes to ku, and then you add the nai. Okay? The difference is with na adjectives, you drop the na, right? And you add ja, and then the nai. So they both take a nai, but one is kunai and the other is janai, and it's important to understand which one to apply where, right? Question?
I had a question when we were doing vocab. Do they ever drop the O on test? Testo.
Testo. Testo. It's almost impossible for Japanese people to end a syllable with a T sound, so the O is usually there a little bit, but it's not emphasized. Testo.
I was
Testo.
just wondering because of they drop the U sometimes for Sue at the end.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for some reason, S sounds are easier for them to end with, but T sounds are almost impossible.
I think you what
Hi.
time does this class get out of here?
It's 10:40, right?
No.
Yeah,
We have a class at 10:50, so.
okay, but we still have time,
Oh, really? Okay, it says
Yes.
it's 42, so.
Okay,
Do
let
it,
me look at
okay.
my clock because
Oh,
that
it is.
clock is
Yeah.
wrong, apparently, 10:43. Geez, I was going off of this clock all day, so we started late and I didn't realize it.
Oh.
Sorry, no wonder we didn't get to do as much as I wanted. You want to do 13 really quick?
Yes, I wrote it down, don't worry guys.
Okay.
She's so ready.
このテストは優しくないです。
はい。
このテストは難しいです。
Hi, okay.
Hi.
So
Yeah,
we'll
I like
start
to say
with
here.
D next class, and I will make a note that I shouldn't trust that clock.
Believe me, I really did hear that in my next class, but she's like super not forgiving about it. She's like, oh,
Okay.
they should let you out. I'm like, yeah, but like, this class is like really important to me, so.
Yeah, yeah, so you can,
If she's
my
late, then-
reminder in case I run over, okay? But, yeah, we may need to just hurry it up next class to get caught up, because the other class is ahead of you guys. Okay. How about that?
There you go. There's your note.
Is
About,
Yeah.
yeah. Or about 13 minutes, really.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.